Hi, everyone. This is KLMeri.
And this is Soda.
We have returned with our second podcast of 2023. This time, Soda and I decided to watch a Star Trek show, but not what you would typically expect from the shows that CBS has put out. We watched the fan series, the first fan series show called New Voyages.
Yeah. As far as I understand, the new Voyages was supposed to be, after the first Star Trek went off the air, Gene Gene Roddenberry had ideas of where to take the franchise. He had this whole plan sketched out for a new Star Trek series that will continue from the first one left off. But he never really got to do that. I think the closest he came was the motion picture, the
Yeah.
first Star Trek movie. This series kind of tries to be the Phase 2. Originally, I think it was also called Phase 2.
Yeah, I think it was. To be honest, I recognized a number of names from those who wrote novels.
Yeah, and also some of them appeared as minor characters on the show.
Yeah.
They also had some actors who appeared on the show appear on this fan show. So it got a blessing of a lot of people who worked on Star Trek in various ways.
Yeah, I even think we had like Gene Roddenberry's son is a quote executive producer on the show.
Yeah.
Something to notice, I think, is that it didn't air on CBS or anything like that. When the show opens up, it says it's supported by In Living Color from NBC.
Interesting.
Which, if anybody knows, In Living Color is sort of like the Saturday Night Live early version. It's American like comedy show. So I was really surprised to see those credits in the opening.
Huh. Okay. That is interesting because I have to say this show is not like a comedy or a satire or a parody of Star Trek. It is legitimately trying to be a continuation of the original series of Star Trek.
Right. It makes me wonder, though, if they were just supported by the show for the funding because they obviously don't put CBS or Paramount on anything
Yeah,
in the credits.
yeah. So we both watched the pilot. The pilot is called Come What May, and it opens up pretty much like every other Star Trek episode. So the Enterprise has just left Starbase 37 with new orders from Admiral Leslie. Admiral Leslie, we are told, is the father of Lieutenant Leslie, which was a minor character in the original series. They
Admiral Leslie is actually played by the actor who played the minor character
Lieutenant
Leslie in the
Leslie.
original
Yeah,
series.
yeah. As the Enterprise leaves the starbase, they get a distress call from the colony of Primus 4. By the time they arrive, they detect two ships who just managed to escape before they confront them, and the colony's director is angry at them for taking so long to come and help. Yeah. The colony is attacked by a species they call the Monap. That's how they pronounce it, right? Monap.
Monap.
But it's written differently. Never mind. The species is basically the Borg. It's a Borg pyramid.
That's what I thought too. I went, wait, is that supposed to be a cube?
I mean, the Borg has all kinds of shapes. The Borg come in every shape and size. So the colony is attacked by the Monap, but they get help from a different species called the Onabi. The Onabi help another ship, another Starfleet ship called the Outer Sheet from the Monap, and the Enterprise gets to meet the Onabi. They get two Onabi. I guess Onabi is both plural and I don't know. On their ship, they're basically one of those, classic Star Trek energy creatures that take on human forms for us lowly humans to see them. They have godlike powers. They can just appear and reappear everywhere they want. Um, this involves some, classic Star Trek, special effects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So the main Onabi the interactive is a woman who calls herself On. Um, they try to interrogate her, but it doesn't go very well. And every time someone touches her or her Onabi friend, they get visions of the future. And some of those visions I think, are very clearly from future episodes of these fan series, but other visions are like reenacted scenes from various Star Trek
Yeah.
movies and future TV shows.
Yeah. They call them hallucinations, but they're very clearly even like visions of past things or future things or maybe just things you wish would happen. I don't know.
Yeah, things like that. So we get, for example, the famous Spock sacrificing himself scene from Wrath of Khan, or the Orion girl dance from the original pilot, all kinds of things.
Yeah, we get Mirror Universe
Yeah. Um,
reenactment.
yeah. They suspect the Onabi of sabotaging the ship, but eventually they decide to let them help, and the Onabi manage to defeat the Monap for the time being, and then leave. That's basically the episode.
I think on this one, Soda, um, I took a lot of notes just because
Yeah,
I
me
kept
too.
I kept finding things that were interesting. I think we'll get to like how they kind of put the set together, the characters in a minute, but the plot,
The plot.
the plot was confusing.
Yes, it was a little difficult to follow.
It was not only difficult to follow, I felt unsatisfied by the ending.
Yeah, yeah,
What was the whole point of the Onabi like being on the ship just to be like mischief makers and then just say, you know what, you can trust us, just let us go help you get out of this situation, and then they just disappear. Okay, what was the point of that?
yeah. Why did they appear? What was the point of those hallucinations?
Right, what was the point of that too? That was my other
Yeah,
big question.
yeah. Why?
It doesn't bring anything to the plot. People are just kind of like scratching their heads like, I don't know, maybe it was just, a hallucination. I don't really know what it was. I don't care. It didn't
Yeah.
affect how they reacted to ththings.
To me, it seems honestly to me, it seems like just like fan service. Like, yeah, you remember this famous scene? We reenacted it. You remember this famous scene? We reenacted it too. Like, they even name. I mean, at some point, they even name dropped like the Cardassians and
The Dominion.
the Dominion. Yeah, it's like what do they have to do with anything right now?
What was the whole point of the female uh, suddenly not being in the brig when it was like there was two security officers standing in front of the brig and she wasn't in there when they went to talk to her. No, she was in the captain's quarters naked, and then
Yeah,
decided to like turn herself into an Orion to give him a little dance.
yeah. Though I will say, I think she dances just as badly as the original Ryan girl from the pilot. Um,
Well, they blurred the whole thing too, which was
yeah,
stupid. um,
it was.
oh goodness. When she first came on and said, "Oh, let's play with them," it made me think of Trelane. But she was a
Kind of,
little,
yeah.
yeah, but she wasn't a child, clearly.
Yeah, she wasn't. She also wasn't kind of a jerk. Yeah,
Yeah, she kind of reminded me of like a hormonal teenager who was like, "Let me, touch all these people and act
yeah,
crazy."
yeah. You always kind of feel like a Star Trek, a classic Star Trek episode, a good one at least, has like sort of a message it wants to
Yeah.
convey. And in this one, there just wasn't. There wasn't one I could think of. Like, just
That's what I meant by unsatisfied. There was no takeaway.
yeah,
okay, we encountered a strange being. There was an unknown enemy. It ran the enemy off, and Kirk is still in trouble with the admiral at the end.
Yeah,
Nobody's happy.
nobody's happy.
I would almost say it felt like a pointless encounter, even though supposedly this unknown being ran off this very serious enemy.
As I said, it felt like a vehicle for references to me. Just
Mm-hmm.
we have the flashbacks, we have the name drops, we have a lot of the episode's dialogue is also like a reference to previous, lines like Spock mentioning his human ancestors. There is a scene of Spock and Kirk playing 3D chess. Like, honestly, I'm kind of surprised that at no point Bones said, "I'm a doctor, not a whatever."
I mean, literally everything else Bone said was some permutation of what he says in the original series. It was not original at all.
Yeah.
He was just there to argue, to drink, and
I mean, he argues and drinks most of the time, but like, yeah, it didn't feel like it added anything new. Yeah,
he didn't have much of a role in this episode at all.
yeah,
But then again,
that's true.
neither did Uhura.
I mean, she usually does. So I
Does
mean,
it?
yeah. An interesting choice. There was, however, an interesting choice. They mentioned that Sulu is off to commanding school or something like that.
Yeah, he's at Starfleet for command training.
Yeah, and instead they brought back Yeoman Rand.
Except she's no longer a yeoman.
I'm trying to remember what her new rank is. She's a lieutenant now? I don't remember.
She's something like that. She sits at the helm. She takes over
Yeah.
Chekhov's place, which, by the way, Chekhov is promoted to head of security. But
Yeah,
we do
which is
see him sitting in the navigator's position on the
yeah, it's
bridge.
interesting. Sulu was never the head of security. It's weird.
So Janice ran like while Chekhov is in sick bay, having been given a vision and knocked out.
Yeah.
She's at the helm, and then later on, she gets to sit in the captain's chair when
Yeah.
apparently there's no one else of significant rank. And Janice
Yeah.
Rand, who's new, he goes, "Have you had enough training to do this? Well, I'm going to put you in the captain's chair."
Yeah, over Uhura, who's right
Over
there.
Uhura, who's been there
Yeah.
much longer.
Yeah, but honestly, the way she smiles when she sits in the chair, I think they're trying to set up some future plot, possibly.
Yeah, I
She
don't
seems
know.
to like the chair. She seems to like sitting in the chair, is what I'm saying.
I just don't feel like if that's the newbie on the ship and this person has just like gotten into their command track, that surely there's someone else more senior than them.
Yeah. I mean, well, in the show itself, Scotty usually took over the chair when Spock and Kirk were away.
Yeah.
And like I said, we had Uhura right there.
Oh, and there was DeSalle. DeSalle was there. He's been on the ship for a while. He was a returning character, but he was sitting Sulu's position as the pilot.
I thought this, if I remember correctly, the Sal was the head of security.
I think it's debatable. There's some other character also who was thought to be the head of security.
Yeah.
Giatti, somebody like that.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Yeah. So DeSalle probably has more experience than Rand.
Janice, yeah.
It's confusing.
It's confusing, yeah.
Oh, the other thing is, this was kind of funny. Did you notice that the captain of the Al Rashid, which was the ship that was being attacked by the enemy, right before the Onabi showed up and then they transported them onto the Enterprise? It was Captain Matt Jeffries.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but that name was in the credits as the costume designer.
Interesting. Interesting. But I did notice he was also a Star Trek TOS alumni. He
Yeah.
originally played Lieutenant Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy who played the director of the colony was angry at Kirk. He was a writer, a
Hmm.
novel writer, Trek novel writer.
Yeah. There's two other characters three other that we got to see. We got to see Mr. Scott. Um,
Yeah.
he's actually the actor who's playing Scott, James Marshall, is the one who wrote the episode.
Interesting.
I think he wrote and directed it. He doesn't write the next episode, but I think he wrote and directed the pilot. And then we see Chapel very briefly. So Chapel's a returning character. And the only other name I made note of was Lieutenant Eric's was called to engineering.
Interesting choice to include Eric.
I know. I thought,
Yeah,
well, okay, well, obviously I guess they're not going to bring him out. That would have to
probably
be
not.
too much costume. Who knows?
Yeah.
Can I give you my initial reaction to this, other than the fact that the plot was confusing? And
Yeah,
like you
of
said, there was
course.
a lot of fan stuff thrown in there. It
Yeah.
did make me laugh
Yeah.
a few times. I have to give some credit to the actors, the writers, the producers, because some of them are clearly not actors by day.
Yeah. I think, it's really a fan project, in its entirety.
As a fan project, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, the sets look great. The sets look
Yeah.
exactly like they did in the original series. They use the exact music that they use in the original series. Um, the effects look like the effects from the original series. Well,
Some of
apart
them
from
are
a few
improved
that
a
are,
little bit with the
yeah,
CGI
yeah.
of the early 2000s.
Yeah, by the way, if we didn't mention, this episode came out in 2004,
Hmm.
which I think makes it even more impressive because, having access to those CGI effects in 2004 wasn't very easy.
Yeah.
And the only problem with the production itself, like not with the technical production, was that the voice recording was kind of spotty in a few places.
Hmm. Again, for a fan project, this is pretty good quality,
Yeah,
especially given that they're supported by in living color probably, and just another production company, like a small name production company. They don't even have the kind of budget that would come with being a CBS show, even if it's the 1960s again and it was original series budget.
yeah,
They did really well with what they had. So for that
yeah.
I was impressed.
And you can see a lot of love going into it.
Mhm.
Yeah. The characterization was okay overall.
Mhm.
Like we said, Bones dialogue was mostly rehashed dialogue from the original series. Spock felt pretty spot on. Kirk was a little too skirt chasery, I think.
When he wasn't that though, he was very very grim. I just got a sense he was very serious. Maybe it was the plot of the episode and he was supposed to be he wasn't happy anyway, but
Yeah, I think maybe that was it.
yeah. It
Yeah.
definitely didn't carry as much humor as, let's say, the original series movies did.
Yeah, true. Also, he had a very
Oh
his
no.
haircut was what?
I knew you were going to talk about his hair.
His haircut looks like the Elvis thing.
Listen, I put on here Kirk has a 1950s wig. He's like a Grease character.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean,
And I don't know if you noticed, but on Chekhov, they put the bad wig back on Chekhov.
well, I noticed and actually appreciated it. This was true to canon.
Yeah. And they did keep all the eyeshadow. Like
Yeah.
the very colorful eyeshadow on Spock, it was on Rand, it was on, well, everybody but Kirk, really.
Yeah, I honestly I was disappointed with Friends here. She was known for her special,
Beehive hairdo.
yeah, yeah. I guess it's not very easy to find something like that.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I thought the actor who played Spock did pretty good
Yeah,
impression of Leonard Nimoy. I mean, it wasn't spot on, but and he was a little more humorous.
yeah. I mean, I think they just exaggerated the
Yeah,
qualities that fans like.
yeah. They were exaggerating the qualities. Certainly with Bones they did that.
Yeah,
I wanted to see more of Uhura, but all she did was say like yes, Captain, and hailing, and she did get like one small part where she was apparently doing a video to everybody about the red alert.
I guess.
It was very strange. I don't think I'd seen that before. There's a red alert and she goes on screen and starts talking to people about going to their battle stations. I went,
Yeah,
okay. I guess her face is just going to show up on in every hallway. Battle stations. I can appreciate the fact that the fans liked the triumvirate. We got at least twice where Kirk, Spock, and McCoy were sitting in his office chatting.
yeah. They could have easily sidelined Bones, but they didn't, and I appreciate that.
And don't forget, like Kirk, like they immediately brought out the mind melding.
Yeah.
So they
Well, I
had
mean,
Spock trying to mind meld with the thing that was giving everybody visions, and all Spock got was visions instead of mind melding.
yeah,
And then, of course, they got to reenact all the search for Spock and stuff.
yeah. Definitely enjoyed it. I mean, maybe they just did all of this just to get it out of their systems.
I find it funny that when, like, supposedly the energy's being drained out of the engines, and Scotty has to shut things down, and he's like, "We're on battery power." I was like, I didn't know this. I didn't know the Enterprise had batteries.
I like that immediately when they leave the Enterprise and they leave the starbase. Kirk is like, Scotty, we are leaving. And Scotty's like, yeah, I'm giving her all she's got.
Oh yeah. And you know what? Kirk actually took time at the end of the episode to tell Rand she did a good job.
Yeah.
It's like, so you did pretty good sitting in the commanding the ship.
Again, I feel like they're setting up some sort of plot to Rand. I don't know. That's just the feeling I'm getting. It's just the pilot. It is just the pilot. Things could change.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're setting up something.
Well, what do you think they were doing when they did like Chapel's vision of marrying Spock? You know, when she got shocked by the alien.
Well, they might be setting up something there too.
That's why I said, is it that they're telling you the future, or they're just bringing out what we all know, which is that Chapel has a crush on Spock?
It's a good question that I can't answer because I have no idea. Like I said, when we saw there was the Mirror Universe flashbacks. They weren't really flashbacks because it wasn't Sulu there; it was Chekhov there.
I know.
So I don't think it was like a flashback. I think it was more of a future, maybe in the future episode, they're planning on going back to the Mirror Universe.
Oh, was that your take on it? Because Chekhov was in the Mirror Universe episode. He was just actually part of the Mirror Universe. And I had wondered, my first impression was, are they just pulling the memory from Uhura's mind?
I don't think they're pulling memories. None of what we saw was them pulling memories. So I took it as if all the other ones were flashbacks to the future, flash forwards. Um, so this one must be one too.
Well, then what about Kirk? Because didn't Onabi come down and like touch him and see a whole bunch of like him and Rand?
Yeah, but it wasn't really human. Again, it could be things from the future of the series because,
Right.
it's kind of hard to tell because it's not the original actors. So,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
and we need to mention that the female, before she left the ship to go help them defeat the enemy, she laid a big old smacking kiss on Spock.
Yeah.
And all I got to say is this is just basically like telling a fan you can come be a villain or whatever on the show and just do whatever you want.
Yeah, pretty much.
go flirt with
Go nuts.
Kirk and go kiss Spock and run around and just be cheerful and a nuisance.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I didn't quite understand when they were in the Klaxar disturbance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is such a it's such a fake name.
Well, it's so close to like Klaxon with, the things that blare the alarms on the ship. It's like one letter
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
The one thing I didn't understand was when they went into the disturbance to get away from the enemy, right? To lose them in the disturbance. The Onabi were still on their ship. And then Kirk is like, we should transport the Onabi back to their ship so they can help us. And I'm like, but wait, you're stuck in the middle of this like huge space cloud. Are you even close to where they are? Like, how are you going to beam them out into the middle of space by themselves? I didn't understand.
I just had a hard time following this entire plot. It just was very confusing and convoluted.
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
maybe we're supposed to think that they had their ship in like in a tractor beam and they were just towing them along.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
I missed that part.
they're also like a very small ship, so
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say I
it's
was
not like,
confused because I originally thought that the enemy ship was the small ship and the Onabi came from the big board-looking triangle.
yeah, me too. I thought so too. I was confused. Who's who?
Oh yeah, you know what? So it wasn't only me because I thought I thought the triangle showed up second, and that was coming to intimidate the small enemy ship.
Yeah.
And so when it turns out to be the flip with, and then supposedly the Onabi scare off the big Borg triangle, I was like, I'm a little confused. I thought they were different. I thought they were opposite.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Um, I hope the writing gets better. I'm not sure, I know a lot of novelists worked on
Hmm.
the show. I hope they helped a bit with the writing. Though writing novels and writing scripts is not exactly the same.
Yeah, it's true.
Uh, yeah.
Um, Definitely, and me having seen another episode and you not, Soda, like I definitely feel like you're going to see a distinction between a script written by the fans and like a novel that probably could have been published.
Hmm. Interesting.
So maybe that'll really play into the quality of the actual plot
Yeah.
and the takeaway at the end of the episode, which we didn't get here.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, this is also kind of short compared to the standard
It's
Star
true.
Trek episode,
It's
the
just a pilot.
original series episode. Yeah. It was only 40 minutes, which is even short by like mid 2000s episode standards. Usual
Mm-hmm.
episode in the mid 2000s was like 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And I think the average length of these for this particular series is like right under an hour.
Yeah, makes sense because the original series was also like 50 minutes average.
Right. So it seems to be more in line with the length of the actual original series.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, one other thing is the accents. Uh, Chekhov's accent it was kind of blinking in and out, you know.
Mhm.
Sometimes it happened and sometimes it didn't. Sometimes he had an accent and sometimes didn't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was Bones' accent? He didn't really detect any accent, honestly.
He did not have a southern accent.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did notice that there were times in the original series that Bones didn't drawl very much. You had to get him worked up for that. But I will tell
Yeah.
you, when he did try to use some like southern colloquialism in the pilot, it didn't come out right. As a southerner, I did not recognize it.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a futuristic southern.
Southernism.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have used a little more accent too.
Yeah.
What about Scott?
Actually, I think it was pretty alright.
It was okay. I thought so too.
Yeah.
For the few times that he did speak.
Yeah, maybe that's the point. He wasn't around all that much, so
Hmm.
not a lot of places to screw up.
That concludes our review of the pilot episode of Star Trek New Voyages. Soda and I may go on to watch another episode, and if we do, we will certainly share our thoughts with you.
Yes. So stay tuned.
And I did just want to remark here, Soda, like, this is not the only fan series.
Yeah, I know. But the other fan series is a little newer.
Hmm.
Um, like a decade after this one. After this one started.
This particular fan series, New Voyages, ran from 2004 to like 2016, but they only put out 10 episodes. They did them very slowly over the course of 11 years or something like that.
Well, you know, as you said, I'm pretty sure this is not their day jobs,
No.
and producing a show's episode is a very tough process.
Oh,
It
yeah,
takes a lot of effort.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks everyone for listening to this short but sweet review of Come What May from the fan series Star Trek New Voyages. Soda and I will catch you next time with another podcast.
Yep. Goodbye, everybody.